controversial subjects with the facts can be tense, but we are a science here to make things make sense.
Ooh, what was your song of pride? Did you have one?
Oh. Wow.
Like, was there a song?
Put me on the spot.
No, that was the one. Oh my God, that's the worst thing to do to Mitch. You hate being put on something. I was trying to sing a song and I was going to be like, mine was going to be, you won't break my soul.
Yeah, obviously
The new
that
Beyonce
was kind of a song, but I feel like I only heard it twice the whole weekend.
I went way too high there. It's like, you won't break my soul. Wait, no, I can't. You won't break my soul. Can you do it? You're such a good singer.
I've lost my voice.
Just like, or like, you can still do it in the
I actually
right
can't.
What's the key? You won't break. You won't.
I actually don't have perfect pitch.
You won't break my soul.
Really hard for me to admit.
You won't break my soul. You won't break my soul. Like, that sounds like a musical theater white gay trying to sing.
Yeah, you don't think I would sound?
Oh, you wouldn't. You're better. Happy Pride, y'all.
Yes, happy Pride to everyone. Well, it was just like Pride weekend in Toronto. I know Pride's kind of happened all over the place at different times for people.
And we decided to start at noon on the Thursday.
And go all the way till Sunday.
And I will say, some gays say Pride Month, and they've been doing this for weeks.
That's true.
We were just deciding to join in for the weekend, but when that weekend came into our brain, we said, how about Thursday at noon?
I'm actually brain dead. I can't believe we did that. I'm sure
I'm so proud of us. I'm so proud of us.
I'm glad to still be here today. We had lots of fun, but also I was like, when we were starting on Thursday, also like crazy. I took it easy. Everyone's like, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Like,
no, people said that to us after our first day when we were so exhausted. We're like, I wish someone told us that yesterday. Everyone knew it. They're like, well, hun, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
I know. I was like, people even on the internet say that. And I was like, is that a thing everyone knows?
We sprinted out the gate.
But it's been like 3 years since we've had Pride, at least in Toronto. And so I think it was very exciting for everyone just to like be back and have these events. And it is a nice atmosphere to be around, to just like go into the village, be around your friends and just celebrate.
It's gay Christmas in the sense that like, you see your chosen family.
Yeah, it feels more whatever. Like Hanukkah, isn't that like 12 days?
Yeah, and it's like there's an obligation in many ways to like, it's like you're like, oh God, I have to be there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of nice. Like, straight people don't have to like obliterate their neurons for a weekend.
I mean, maybe they do.
I mean, some ladies and gentlemen, allies might want to, but it's like, you know what I mean? I sometimes like feel more of an obligation. I won't say any names, but my hilarious straight friend recently, when I was like, are you going to come to my Pride party? He said, I don't really like Pride. And then we started laughing. I'm like, yeah, it's true. Like, we just had so much fun. But like, if I wasn't gay, it would have been nice because we would have maybe gone to one party and not had to feel like we feel insane right now.
To be honest, I've had years where I was like, I don't really love Pride. Like, not the idea of it. Just like, it can be overwhelming. It can be even being around, like, it's huge crowds of people. Hi, Ernie, you okay?
Yeah. You hate crowds. So
it's like very busy. There's a lot going on. Sorry, the dog's like being funny. And I just kind of felt like overwhelmed from it. And I'm not like a huge partier in general. So it's like, sometimes I got to be in the right place, right time.
Hence, you were responsible this weekend. And when you would take yourself home at 3, we'd all be in awe. That's an insane sentence to stay. So the first thing I'm going to explain is a study and all the research about what happens to your brain when you're drunk and stoned at the same time, because that is what I decided to be at noon on a Thursday. And it was insane. And I just like, some funny things happen where I was like, that's exact examples of what it does. So alcohol. So everyone who's drinking this weekend, we know that it essentially like turns off your glutamate receptors and on your GABA receptors, which are more inhibitory. That's why like your information's slower, you perceive less, you remember less. Why, as we might start to go back on how fun this weekend is, we might have like only saccades of information.
You keep using that word wrong. Every time you say it, it's in a different way. And I'm like,
saccades.
You didn't get it, did you?
We got a little bit. No, I mean, I think it was a poetic use of it. It wasn't the direct literal, but I think it like metaphorically meant what I meant. Okay. You know, only bits of information and bits of saccades of our vision we're going to remember.
Okay.
But THC, so it activates cannabinoid receptors. So these are receptors in your body that are always firing with natural hormones and neurotransmitters. But when you smoke or consume marijuana, there's actually THC in it, which mimics it and then starts firing your brains off. But it also decreases glutamate, inhibits the glutamate receptor. So when you're doing alcohol and weed, it's like a double whammo of glutamate, like essentially like missing the glutamate receptors. Therefore, you remember less. And then one of this funny like pop science version of the article said like you essentially just become really stupid.
I mean, that I think that's everyone's experience. Although when you're just like with weed, you often think that you're a genius and smart. But alcohol, I guess you think you're smart too when when you're drunk, but you clearly aren't.
Yeah, and when you think about the pharmacology, the cannabinoid receptors are what are making you feel imaginative and making you feel like like you're so smart. But it's the double whammo of the glutamate, the double whammo of glutamate from alcohol and the weed that makes you quote unquote stupider. Remember last. Okay, so it's the Thursday and we're going to. Where the heck are we even going? That's a fun game. What was the first party?
Like, you mean the one at our house?
Oh my God.
Oh, we were going to the green space.
Oh, green space. So that's this like
outdoor
event.
In a park.
It's literally hashtag sponsored by a bank. We know.
A handful of the famous drag race queens are like performing at it kind of vibe. Yeah.
Although Willow Pale last minute ditch out. Part of the reason why we didn't actually even go.
Mm-hmm. Well,
because
the line was like around 4 blocks because it's a free event. So it's just like you have to get there on time. And we were just like, I don't know if this
Well, we were there on time. It opened at 5 p.m. This is why we started at 12. At 5 p.m. was too late. You had to line up since 12? Wild.
I don't know. Yeah.
So we just went to our friend's house. Anyways, to get there, our friend who had come to our party at noon with his laptop because he had a meeting at 3. No names being said here because it's like at one point he had to ditch out of the party and then probably like go on a Zoom call and be like, yes, I will get back to you on that on Monday, Sandy. He was like, okay, I need to drop my laptop off at home. I'll meet you on the first train of the platform on the subway. So we're like all so excited. We're like, oh my God, okay, we're like getting all organized.
So fun at a different station also. So like we have to get on a subway and then meet him at, we coordinate the car we're going to get into.
We're like, we're going to text you right when we go down and we're going to say meet on the front car at Spadina. Some might say Spadina in Toronto subway station. Also, it was kind of fun because our friends are like weirdly like, don't take the subway that much. So it's like there's some of them are like crazy and just don't do that. So when we're on the subway, it's like we're traveling. Like some of them are like literally like woo. So we get on the subway. We have our like we don't condone this, but we had like soda bottles that had a little bit of vodka.
I did not.
Oh, Mitch did not.
Not the whole weekend did I ever illegally drink in public.
You're so responsible. Anyways, we're all obliterating our neurons.
I just can't break the law.
Except for Mitch, who can't break the law. And we're going down. We're on the front car. We've texted him. And the whole time we can't not talk about it. So like everyone's just hearing like 8 obviously gay guys being like, oh my God, so is Phil going to be there? Phil's going to be there.
Okay,
Phil's
so you're giving his identity away suddenly.
Oh no. Didn't say the last name. We're like, okay, he's going to be there. Like this person's going to be there. I mean, and every time we stop talking about it, I feel like we're tipsy enough that we can't not it's like it's hard to change a subject of 8 people and we're like, but do you think he's like gonna be in the right car?
Right. And do we like step out of the car to see if he's on the platform, or do we just like assume he's gonna get right on?
Yeah, and then we kind of go through why we're gonna stay put. And everyone's just looking at us like, okay, they're freaking out about this thing. The door's open at Spadina. I'm filming with my phone because I'm so excited.
Many people are filming. We're all like,
everyone's like, well, we go up, we're like, person's name? Person's name. We're screaming, nowhere to be seen. The door shut. We're absolutely like devastated. Everyone's probably like, those people are actually insane. Like, what are they talking about? We got out.
At first, no, everyone was like, no, this is the wrong station. This is the wrong station. And then as it started leaving, we were like, wait, no, that was the right station.
So then we got out, and because he was, drunk and high at the same time,
absolutely smash.
He was on the wrong side of the subway.
So
he was going west, and he was like texting us like, hello, 4 trains have gone by, like smiling.
And not only on the other side, because it was the last train, like the fully opposite side as well. So he didn't even hear us screaming his name, like looking for him.
So that was just sort of the beginning of it all. And also, did you know that rats, when they get them stoned, which they do, objects that prior to getting stoned they could recognize, they just couldn't recognize anymore.
Oh my God.
And I love the study too. They got people stoned, gave some placebo shots, so they made them actually taste bad, and they thought they were getting shots of alcohol. Gave other people actual shots of alcohol, and they found that people felt more euphoric when drunk and stoned. And they were stoned through smoking, and they gave the shots first. And the theory is that alcohol increases your blood flow. It dilates your blood vessels. And for this reason, when the blood's going near your lungs while smoking weed, your body's actually absorbing more THC in your lungs because of the increased blood flow if you drank first.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
Or even when you start drinking.
Yeah, because what about like if you have an edible? I would have thought it would have been similar, that they kind of like pair each other up, you know, not,
It would be
not just the lungs.
Yeah, so it would be the same thing. Okay. Sorry, the edible one, the edible reason why you end up getting really stoned with alcohol is that the edible, because you're consuming it, actually gets processed in your liver first before going to your brain. And there's certain enzymes in your liver that when they work on alcohol, when they work on THC, they create other molecules that are more potent cannabinoids. So that's like not related to the blood flow that the alcohol is causing, but you could think like it's true. Like even blood flow is necessary for your digestion. There would be an increase in absorption, and maybe.
Yeah.
But,
okay. No.
But it's more linked actually.
I definitely find that happens, and as you know, as I just pointed out, I only do things that are legal, and both drinking and weed are legal in Canada.
So
but I just want to talk about. No, I'm not saying that.
Didn't smoke a joint until Justin Trudeau in 2019 legalized marijuana.
Yeah, except for when we were young, you forced them down my throat.
Oh my God! I'm gonna flip a table.
No, what I was going to get at was it is a very interesting thing to me as somebody who like weed can make like super like paranoid, not like in a kind of like overly crazy way, but just in like an anxious way, in my heart racing. But if I have alcohol at the same time, and I'm not like saying to do this to people, I'm not like recommending, but I definitely feel way less anxious. It's like obviously though, I also can also feel like if you do too much, like way more messed up.
They were saying euphoric feeling, so like it kind of makes sense. You probably feel more euphoric.
Well, it's easier for me to also, it's like it tones down the anxious part of getting high, and just like then you just have like the part that's obviously
you're like thank God this alcohol is making me feel less, perceive less, and remember less, because now I can get stoned. Like, I mean, that makes total sense.
Yeah. So I guess I am recommending doing that.
But no, so yeah,
in moderation.
We were all really dumb, and we all don't remember very much. But I do remember little things, like no, I'm actually now like panicking. I'm like, what do I remember? No, we remember lots of things, right? Like,
well, you mean like other things that happened that week?
No, I'm just like, I'm like, we did a grind train. Like, that's all I remember is like grinding in a train of people, which was fun. We truly just drank a lot of alcohol.
But I think the dancing part was really fun. We went out. Like, I would say I didn't have like the most fun every single night, but a couple of the nights were like the moments.
Okay, what was your favorite night?
My favorite night was the last night. Where we went to one of the outdoor events. It felt like it was fun to be outside, to have like a big stage where there was like, you know, DJs and stuff performing. The crowd felt like super diverse. It felt like mixes of age.
It actually felt like Pride.
Yeah, it was like, because some of the other parties we went to were like so male and very white, and it was just like, oh, like I'd rather be feeling like I'm in the city that I see all the time.
Yeah, you're right. Like we actually spent an hour at one party complaining, processing and complaining, and then being like, fine, well, we're here.
Yeah.
We have to have fun. No, it's true. That's such a good point. Saturday was so much more fun.
And I just feel like actually it was the night I had earlier on decided I was not participating in because I was just like too tired. Yeah. But then I feel like it also had lower expectations and then ended up being so fun.
That's
because
so
I was
true.
Like not being like, oh gosh, we like bought tickets to this event, and like I often hit a point in the night where I'm like, oh, I'm like so tired, and then I feel guilty when I'm like leaving something that everyone is like planned to do for so long.
Yeah.
So that night was just kind of like spontaneous, and we picked that place randomly, and then I just had so much fun.
So that's really interesting because you finally like made me remember something from the weekend. Thanks to all that detail. Very good. But it was like, that's why New Year's is bad. We've done videos about it because there's such intense heightened expectation.
Yeah.
Saturday was 100% the most fun because both Thursday and Friday had these parties and this like lore around it that there was expectation. They were both so fun, but that was a really good point for Saturday. I'm going to copy you if you were to ever ask me the question. But one thing that I just remembered that I wanted to talk about, which was like in the morning after the Thursday night and the Saturday night, my face was so puffy, like it literally looked like I had filler, and I was like, oh my god, I can't go to Pride, like, or like I have to figure this out. Like my face, like if I showed up, if I was like, hey guys, people would be like, Greg, your face, like it was like it was so bad. But the Saturday morning when we woke up, like the party we went to on the Friday was so busy. It was
scary
all the way in the
first.
East End. Everyone was white. Everyone was jacked. Everyone was annoyed because there was way too many people being pushed into this thing. Like, obviously not everyone was white and jacked, but it was like a homogenous, like it wasn't a fun vibe when we showed up. And it was so busy and that we were all so like packed that we all just went outside and kind of like freaked out and had to process. We went back into this dance space where there was no airflow. And it honestly, like we all had like anxiety when we first entered because it was so hot that it was like the Science Center rainforest is how I would describe it.
I have never been that wet outside of going on a run or jumping in a body of water.
A body of water. My fingers were pruned. Like I kept showing people, I was like, look at my fingers. And everyone was like, Greg, you know, we're all like around like hot guys. Like that's disgusting. And all I was doing was going to people and like, my fingers are pruned. But it was so wet. So I started panicking probably like around 3 when you leave. I'm like, okay, Greg, you're still here. And I started thinking, we need so much water. Like we've dehydrated our bodies with like alcohol and it was really hard to get alcohol. We've been dancing for hours at this point because we danced before, we danced after the whole time. So I go to the back and they really aren't doing a good job of giving out water. There's these like only 3 sort of pitchers and a bunch of plastic cups. I'm like, fuck it. I take the pitcher and I like go to the bathroom. I fill it all the way up with water and I go back to like my close friends. I'm obviously not saying everyone should like be sharing like drinks, especially now, but like my close friends, I'm like, everyone, let's just dance and drink this. And my shirt and skin was so wet that it was hard to drink from, but it would just splash all over us. And it was like, well, there's no difference between this actually cold water and my fully drenched body. The Saturday morning I woke up, I know this is like, I obviously was still hungover, but my face was not puffy. And that night when I met up with my friend Mark, he's like, it's annoying that you look so good.
Really?
Considering how messed you looked up on the Friday and the Sunday. And
honestly, hot take. Water's good for you.
So, okay, I found out why, the exact reason.
Okay.
So it's that what happens is acute alcohol consumption means that there's increased dermal flow, so increased blood flow to your skin. So you're actually constantly going to have less water while you're drinking. Not to mention the fact that it makes you pee more. Your blood is actually going to the periphery of your skin more. Therefore, you're evaporating more water out of you while drinking. Okay. And so that water loss means that your organs and like parts of your body are trying to hold onto as much water as possible. So they bloat in order to do so. And the thing is that your brain doesn't have the same type of mechanism for that. So your brain actually is like one of the few things in your body that doesn't bloat and it shrinks. So your brain shrinks over and then that's why your face might bloat when you're hungover. And I swear I was like drinking so much water and it was less bloaty.
Whoa.
Yeah. And that's where they played Break My Soul, but I think you weren't there. And I really wish you were because it was like, do you want to break my soul? Like they finally played that. And that party had really good music.
It did.
Considering. It was like, it was just all
the
Drake
first party
and I
didn't
was
have
good.
good
And
music.
it was,
I'm just trying to think like, because there's something else I had heard about water absorption before, but maybe it's more related to food consumption and salt, because it's kind of like when you eat a lot of salty food, you actually absorb more water, and that's
that makes sense.
Your
that's
blood
what
pressure
electrolytes are. Like,
and like your blood pressure will increase because of that. And then part of me thinks, because often when we're out partying and then I go get food, as you know, after when I'm leaving at 3, I'm actually going to go get food by myself. Then I'm like feeling like I'm bloated because I've actually absorbed more water at the end of the night because I'm drinking so much water and eating so much salt, and then I feel like that's why I've always thought my face feels like puffy after drinking.
But you know what? Also, another thing is that like in order to make up for all that salt, you need to drink probably like so much, even more water, which you're not drinking.
Yeah, like through, or it just probably takes a certain amount of time.
To, like, no, that's interesting.
Your body. Like I do drink lots the next day and whatever, but
it could be your pizza chicken bites. That's right, folks. That's his favorite.
We did take before and after. We took Thursday morning pictures or Thursday, and then we took Sunday pictures of our faces, and so those are fun to look at. But
Saturday was for sure the best. You're right. That party.
I just want to say, like, do you think, like, obviously, like, it was interesting dancing in the sweating hot room, but like, would you ever want to do that again?
So
it took a while to like process.
Yes. Now that I've done the experience and I was able to process it there and have so much fun, I'm like, I could do it again, but you know what I would want? Like a week's notice. like a week's notice of like,
this is the hot yoga party.
You're going to be going to a hot yoga space and you're going to have music actually that you like. They played Yeezus Kanye song. Like I was like into this vibe and I was like, they're going to be playing enough good songs that you won't be able to stop dancing for 4 hours. And like, therefore, like, are you willing to do that? And then I'd have to decide. And I think I would say yes because I would just what was the worst part was not knowing, was entering it for the first
then being
time
like,
and then being like,
what?
yeah. And it was also so crowded when we first got there, which I also felt made me really uncomfortable. Like I really wanted to go.
Yeah, I almost when we first
And then we couldn't
arrived,
find our
was
friends.
like
We went to go
this-
try and find our friend to leave. And then at that point, it was so late.
I mean, it was an interesting experience for sure. Like walking into a room that's so hot and then being like, I'm going to stay in this.
Yeah.
At first, it is like panic inducing for me. Like when we first got there and then walked in that room, I was like, and it is so crowded that I just was like, hey, this feels unsafe. Both physically to like escape if there's an emergency, but B also I kept having the moment where I was like, I would die on Survivor. That's all I could think. I was like, I'm gonna faint, and like,
Yeah, it was the closest you got to a Survivor challenge.
yeah, and I was like, okay, I have to make it through to prove to myself that I can do Survivor. Is like what was going through my head.
know what? Pride is kind of like a Survivor challenge. Like, there so often when we would see each other on the third day, we'd look at each other and be like, you just gotta push through. Like, no one at a certain point, it was like, this, are we having fun? Because we're all acting like we're on like a mission.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
to save the world.
But it was fun and it was interesting to be that wet. Honestly,
Yeah.
When I left, I was gonna catch an Uber, but was so wet I felt embarrassed that I walked for 10 minutes first because I was like, I don't want to get in someone's car and like my pants.
Oh yeah, that's
I was
so
wearing
funny.
pants
Like a
that
leather pants, like
were,
a leather
soaked,
a leather
yeah.
seat that's like.
And my hair was like as though I'd gone swimming. Like I felt like I looked absolutely wild.
I rang my shirt out at one point as a party trick. And it was really fun. Oh yeah, I radically kept shirt on as a monkeypox barrier. If anyone was wondering.
Oh, true. I didn't take my shirt off.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I would have if people weren't so freaking close to me.
Yeah.
But,
oh my god. Okay.
radical. I think I was the only person with the shirt on, so I would like ring
hello,
it out.
so was I. Oh, you mean
No, sorry,
after
after you left. And then also there was like I know, and it was also like we're all trying to stick out, aren't we? It's like just leave a shirt on. And then also my shorts were I bought used like secondhand boxing shorts, so they're kind of like jersey
Greg
material.
literally wore boxing shorts.
But if you touched them, it was like insane. It was a wet bathing suit, like the feeling.
I'm going to take like a radical left turn right now and talk about some science that has nothing to do with partying, but this was what I was researching.
Well, it's more
for this
important. It's
episode.
like, why are gay people exist?
Why are you gay? Are you gay? Are you homosexual? Okay. So I know we've heard of this kind of research in the past and this theory that if you have more older brothers, you're more likely to be gay.
Oh, I thought it was just that if you heard Celine Dion more as a kid.
Oh, true. She, yeah.
Oh,
it's a
that was the
conversion.
Finnish study I'm thinking of. Oh, yeah, you're talking about the one from. I was gonna say Uganda. They
Why?
have really smart because I just read an article about how smart their scientists are.
Oh, cool.
But anyways, that's
I was like, that's random. Basically, the premise of this study is similar, but that theory has been contested for a long time because the sample sizes are so small and it hasn't been repeated like that many times.
So should we explain? I can explain. Do you know how to explain why that is the theory? Do you want to do that later?
Oh, it's part of this
Okay,
as
cool,
well.
cool.
But if you know more than I
No,
do about
do it.
like,
I shouldn't know. I just wanted to explain. Keep
well,
going.
basically, this was like redoing some of those studies, but with 9 million people.
Whoa.
Which is like all of the Netherlands, basically. They were doing. So they were using same-sex marriage as a proxy for homosexuality because obviously you can't just like know from like surveys and data from a government if people are gay.
Yeah, that's fair.
So they
That's
were
totally
like
fair.
using that as a reference point. And it's also the first study that included women in this study as well.
Oh, wow, there's science for
yeah.
you.
Yeah. I don't know if I should say.
We'll do the gay
absolutely.
study, but we're not going to allow women in then.
Yeah, so it was also looking at the impact. They were both studying whether having older brothers makes an impact and how there was another, oh gosh, now I forget the name of it because it didn't end up having a relation to this. But it was about like mothers who have gay kids have more kids. Like there's like something to do with fertility because there's always been this question of like, well, wouldn't it be like a genetic trait that would slowly disappear? If you have a kid who doesn't have kids, you're less likely to pass on those
No,
genes.
my friends, you were very necessary. To
Yeah,
the
but in
goddamn
that
world.
sense, it's like, well, part of the theory around that is like mothers who have gay children actually also have more children.
Yeah.
So like they're not actually.
Ooh, we get into my favorite hypothesis.
Anyway, their results reinforced the belief, but with like very high levels of confidence.
Cool.
So it found if you have one older brother as a male, so most of the results were for men, but they found them applicable to women as well. But when they recited the results, they were still using if you're a male with an older brother. Okay.
Cool.
So if you're a male with one older brother, you're 12% more likely to enter a same-sex union.
Wow.
And you're 21% more likely than men who have a younger brother or sister. So being the oldest brother or the oldest sister, you're fine. Don't worry.
Happy Pride, you're fine.
Yeah. So then it was like men who are the youngest sibling are more likely to enter same-sex union than men who are the oldest sibling, which is what I just said.
Yeah.
And the differences grow larger as you have more siblings.
Yeah.
So we're able to prove that
Oh
as
my
well.
God. So it's actually still is this.
The probability of you entering a same-sex union is 41% greater if you have 3 older brothers. I'm like looking at my younger brother, like, okay, I'm the gay one. And as opposed to 3 older sisters. So if you have 3 older sisters, it's not like
This is wild.
and it's 80% greater if you have 3 younger brothers. Hold on. How do I read this properly? Is 80% greater? This I wrote this down earlier. I was like, I eventually figured out what it meant.
Well, okay. Yeah. Well, I can.
No, the only other thing is like women are more likely to enter these same-sex unions as well if they have older brothers.
Wow.
So there is the belief, like you were trying to mention, the main theory behind it, at least so far as I know, is that it's attributed to the mother's immune system. Is this what you were going to say?
No, I was talking about epigenetics.
Well, this is epigenetics.
Oh, okay,
so, like,
okay.
when a mother has a male fetus, it says the proteins that enter the mother's bloodstream trigger the production of antibodies that influence the sexual development of subsequent children. So that's why, like, you would have a daughter, and the first male is the one that does that. So, but if the male's first, then all the daughters will still have that implication of more likely to enter same-sex unions in this study, but presumably to be queer. And these maternal antibodies accumulate over successive male pregnancies. So if you have 2 brothers, like there's more antibodies. So that's why you're more likely the more brothers you have. Every like male impacts the mother's immune system in that way.
Okay, so this is called the gay uncle hypothesis, which is a way of taking this epigenetics and these studies and explaining why, as you have successive, let's just use the example of as you have successive sons, you're more likely to have a gay son, because it is advantageous, they think, to have gay people in society, because what they end up doing, if you think of like hunter-gatherer vibes, is they end up looking after their actual direct family as opposed to leaving their direct family to start another one with another group of people. So it's literally showing you why being gay is like advantageous to quote unquote a society, and then B, also why it continues to exist. And the epigenetics part of it is a way to explain from like a biochemical standpoint why it's happening, and that you have DNA that's constantly like coded by your cells, but there are specific parts of these long swaths of DNA where like little chemicals come in and read the DNA to make the RNA, to make the proteins in your body. And depending on essentially like what DNA gets opened and closed can be affected by proteins. It's by like different types of methylation. Essentially, you can like turn things on and off. That's called epigenetics. Right. Because genetics is like everything that's in your genes. Epigenetics is all the like molecules around it that turn it on and off.
And it's a relatively more modernistic view to realize that like you do have a DNA blueprint, but like your environmental factors, not just yours, your mother's environmental factors and your environmental factors can impact how that DNA actually exhibits.
Yeah, that's true. Like
traits.
It's such a new field of biochemical study that you might have gone through science at a certain age and not even know what epigenetics was, because it's like so new and it's so complicated. It's like very hard to pin down because of how complex cellular machinery is. But they have found direct links from the antibodies, from specific methylation patterns, to see certain genes that get turned on and off as this woman has more and more sons that make someone more likely to be gay, which is why sometimes you will read a study that says there's a gay gene in pop science, because it's talking about what you're talking about and mixing it to epigenetics and relating it to genes that are being encoded as more and more people end up being gay. Most importantly, this is just to say that being queer is natural, and like any sexuality that you have is natural. Bisexuality also is something like that you could be linked into here, because if you're having a same-sex partner, you can also be bisexual. Like
that was actually the most important takeaway from this study, even in their research paper, was that when people view sexual orientation as a product of biology, they're more likely to support sexual minorities for their civil rights compared to if they think it's a choice.
Oh,
so
yeah.
the study was clear to be like, it shouldn't matter if it's a choice, even like if you want to choose.
I always giggle because I always forget there's like people on this planet who like think it's a choice.
But this was like,
Yeah.
okay, we can actually prove
Yeah.
that this is like, part of like a developmental process in the human body. And now we have a sample size of 9 million to show that your odds increase as you have more and more older brothers. So this is obviously a function of human genetics.
Yeah, it makes you remember like, oh yeah, that's why pride exists, because like some people actually like hate us.
Yeah.
Because we live in Toronto. We're honestly one of the biggest, most free, beautiful prides are. Like, we're so lucky. We live in like maybe one of the best cities in like the world to be gay, which I think is why pride for us is such a like joyful experience. Like, and
I was a little scared with leading it up, because in the States there were a bunch of pride events that were like having attacks or like planned things happening at them. And to be honest, like American politics has leaked into Canada, and there were libraries that were being attacked for having like drag book readings. It's really sad. So there are still those people in Canada. It does exist, and it does exist. It
America,
can exist in
like,
Toronto.
it's like
So it's worth bringing up. Like, that is why pride exists.
No,
So,
you're right.
like,
You're right.
Support people.
And Canada is so okay. Obviously, okay. I'm obviously
And we are
not
so
saying
lucky.
like
No, Toronto is.
but I was just trying to be like, you're right. Like there's obviously issues for being gay for so many people in Toronto and in Canada. But I was just saying, I do think maybe it's one of the best in the world.
Oh, for sure.
So I'm trying to remind myself that like people do still hate us, because like I think that's what I'm trying to say is like I forget that sometimes because I live so freely, and like even within my own like consciousness I'm very like open as a person. Like even sometimes you are like, Greg, you're so like you don't act a certain way in certain places and whatever. So I'm just saying personally, even sometimes I forget that people still are like,
we
you
are
chose
lucky
that
to
and
be
you're a
able-
freak and we hate you. And
Yeah,
it's like,
we're
okay,
lucky
that's
that
crazy.
everyone around us, for the vast
Ow.
majority of like both queer and allies around us, are like so supportive that like we can walk through most of our lives not having to think of it as a thing, which is beautiful, and which is the hope for the whole world eventually, that people can just exist and not have to like worry about just their own existence.
Like it's such an insane privilege. Like I feel so privileged on like a very emotional level when you think about it, because I'm like, oh my god, that would be such a burden on my life if I lived somewhere where I had to constantly be thinking about this stress.
and I mean,
that's so many places, and I wouldn't even be able to live like this. It's just like crazy to think how lucky we are, which is why Toronto Pride I think is so joyful. Like it really is. It's so like joyful. It doesn't feel like even when there's like real things happening and real things being talked about, it still has like a mire of like, we're so lucky to be here. I feel like everyone's like acknowledging it.
I think so too.
Which is like,
it's a beautiful place, and
so amazing.
hopefully other people listening have those places near them that they can celebrate as well. Like, of course, there are metropolis cities all around the world that do have amazing prides, but you're right. Like Toronto also being such a diverse city, like not just in sexuality but in everything else, also I think adds an element to that of like, this is a celebration of just like being different and being yourself, which is really nice.
Oh my god. And literally like the party on Saturday was so fun. It was like called Strapped, and there was like, it was so hot. It was just like the hottest like mask lesbian girls would
like
literally
grinding on
like
stage.
pull at people and Usher grind them down the way that Usher used to do with girls at his concert, which I used to jerk off to. In the most insane, like, and I have videos of her like literally humping upside down, and when she moves her body down, she grabs the
like,
girl and spins her,
upside
but like
down,
protects her head and then goes over and I'm literally getting horny.
Well, someone said that one might have been like a porn star.
Oh,
I think,
really?
like she seems so
she
good at it, or
should
maybe like a
be.
stripper or something. Like the way she was able to move and maneuver the other girl's body was like
I
unbelievable.
really want. Also, I realized my dream. I was doing morning pages about dreams, and I've like it's like you're supposed to not let inhibit your brain. It's part of this course. I've been doing. I have to do it 3 times. Every time I write deep down, my deepest thing I want to be is a stripper, and I'm slowly being like, okay, I just need to take stripping lessons. Like I'm going to start doing pole lessons, like because I want to be a stripper so bad. And when I watched this stripper do that to that girl, I was moved. It was to like Get Your Freak On by Missy Elliott. I was like, this is amazing. And that was the most pride party I felt.
Yeah.
Like being outside.
And
it was
yes,
so
you could see the
joyful.
street, so you can see everyone just like enjoying. You can see a bunch of other bars, and like just the atmosphere was so fun.
Yeah.
And to me, as a claustrophobic person, it's like so nice to be like outside. To be honest, 'Cause it's like
interesting.
not to say that you like I can still be claustrophobic without a roof above my head, because it's sometimes about like escape. It's sometimes about feeling like if I don't have the ability to get out of here immediately, that scares me. And obviously, like when you have walls and roofs around you, you feel more trapped. But as long as I can see, like, it's just like so much less scary.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. It was like so nice to be outside. Never really thought of that. And how often do you get to do that?
Yeah, so really, and yeah, for the party to go like so late, it's nice that like, you know,
Well, at one point we were like loving the music, like grind training, like having like this is so much fun. And at one point we're like, did they turn it down? I found out it was 11 p.m.
I know, but I feel like it got like louder again at midnight.
No, I think that was like ears adjusting. So it was on TikTok that I saw someone had posted. They tagged us because they were like, "Hi, the night dancing with ASAP Science" or whatever.
What?
There was so many people who I was like,
That was in a TikTok.
yeah, well, because and she was
God.
going through, the algorithm, it like feeds this stuff to you.
Oh my
Like it was like
gosh, show
it's
me
the
that.
algorithm on TikTok fed me the party I was at. It's crazy.
my
But
God.
she commented on that, how they
see.
asked someone and they said at 11 p.m. they had to turn down for the city, and she was like, "What, on Pride?" was like her like
Yeah.
take, because we all at one point we
having so
actually
much fun.
left.
Yeah.
We were like,
We were
"Oh
like,
my
"It got
god,
so
we were having so much
quiet."
fun," and we're like, we swear it got more quiet, and it had.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another. John Tory, if you're listening, keep the speakers up. Everyone in the village who lives around there is at Pride, probably.
Yeah,
like,
and they know that night and all the last 3 nights are gonna be like that.
Okay.
That
was fun. That was
I was
good.
thinking about like one other incident that
Okay.
happened that you.
Were you trying to like change the subject?
No, like I think we should end soon, but I thought the one bad part about being gay is sometimes when you eat ass. And
Oh, I was gonna move on from the eating ass story just because we've done a whole episode on eating ass, which you
fair,
can listen to. And I was like, I thought about
Okay.
it, but yeah. We'll just say that this is this funny study that I always talk about, which is that in the Netherlands, they're doing some good queer research in the Netherlands.
seriously?
They found that men who have sex with men get food poisoning at 3 times the rates of the rest of society. And their theory is that it's from eating ass and not from like the meal you ate the night before. And yeah, there was just some interesting moments in the evening with some of our friends where we're like, you might have food poisoning, but from a little act we all been doing.
Oh well, happy Pride.
That's a teaser. Happy Pride. So next week we're going to be talking about abortion, the science of abortion. Is not really like a hard left because it's like we do have to have like pride for our rights that we have here in Canada currently. Because yeah, America, like if you're listening, like things are really sad and bad, and we're going to talk about the science of why what happened with Roe versus Wade is awful, devastating, and truly so many people are going to die. So that one's going to be a little bit more serious.
Yes.
Okay. Also, this week we're shouting out for Pride Week other Pride podcasts. So we're telling you right now that the next stop on your audio Pride, experience, audio Pride parade you're going to be doing right now is a mashup with an episode from Poor Lil Thing, which is out of Vancouver, BC.
Woo.
Their episode publishes tomorrow. So that's June 30th. So if you're listening to this now, wait till tomorrow and you can go on Poor Little Things podcast. So just type
look
that
them
in
up
anywhere.
in anywhere
But
that you find
Canadian
ours.
queer
Yeah.
podcast, and then boom, there you are. You're doing what you're doing what we did all weekend. Nope, you would need more alcohol and weed. And
No, I hope
sunglasses
everyone
for
had
that.
such a good Pride.
Yeah, truly.
Even if you didn't go out, like happy Pride. I hope you're all so proud.
Yes.
We made it hopefully out of the pandemic,
Yeah.
and
Hopefully
I
we
love
got
you
our
all.
brains and we got our like sort of like neurons back to where they are for our episode on abortion. Like that's
Yeah,
gonna be
seriously.
very important.
Yes.
So next week you will hear from us.
Okay.
Peace.